right, I think we are at time. So maybe we stop the text-only version of the show and get started. People will join as time passes. Let me know if the audio is a bit much. Hi! I'm Lars Egman, and this is Under Jord. Or at least that's how I usually start my YouTube video, so I guess I can try that on for the stream as well. So today we are going to be poking around with SQLite VFS, which I think is virtual file system, and we will be trying to use SQLite over object storage, which is fun and interesting, and also doesn't work in Elixir quite yet, or maybe we can make it work. Unclear. So we have a challenge, which is good. Let's get away from my face and straight into the proper stream view. As per usual, recently the stream is brought to you by Tigris, and they will also be shipping me off to Gig City Elixir to hold a keynote in May. And we'll be using them in the stream. What they do is object storage, so it makes a bit of sense. The thing we're doing is not particular to their object storage. Essentially any object storage that implements range requests, which I think is all of them, should be able to do this. All right. We have some people here. Sound off in the chat when you're tuned in. I'd like to hear from you all. Know that there are some people there. And actually this is probably a decent stream to do a follow along on. So let's just create some directories to work off of. So SQLite objects. Sure, that's a name. You always need two terminals, right? So this project is very neat. It's a Go-based SQLite 3 HTTP VFS. It queries SQLite databases over HTTP with the range headers. If you don't know the range header, we can actually just look at it. So this is a header you can send when you're requesting things over HTTP to, for if the server supports it, only receive the byte range that you request. It has a few variants, but overall it's just kind of neat. Good if you want to stream data at your pace. I think this is also typically how people do resume for web downloads. Now, let's see. So I don't really do Go, but I do have make and the Go build tooling installed. So if you don't have any Go tooling installed, this might be a bit more annoying. But if you do, all you really need is to go here, and then I think it will make, which will build the extension. So this is the thing we need, the HTTP VFS.so. So a dynamic library file. I still haven't heard anyone in the chat. Can you hear me okay? Is this audio coming through? Is everyone seeing screens and stuff? I want a good evening on a Friday. Come on. I know there are people watching. Hey, Herman. Hey, Tommy. Hey, Punica? Pun1CA. Oh, from Germany. Herman I've met. Tommy is a colleague. welcome all. Yeah, so with this, I've built it, built the extension, and the way you use it. So it has a tool for querying SQLite directly, which is not as interesting to me as using this part. So plugging it into existing SQLite, and I just need to get something. Okay, so there's a URL that you can all steal from me. I'll hope to keep it on the screen long enough that you can. I will run this in both of my terminals. Okay, let's see. So let's see if we can make it easier to read. There. This is a public bucket I've put up on Tigris with a podcast index.db file. So the podcast index is an alternative. That was an interesting search history, but this is because I haven't shut down my incognito between recordings. The podcast index is an alternative podcast index. They also offer their database, so you can download that using HTTP and do fun stuff with it. It's about 1.6 gigs tar gzipped, I think, and over 4 unpacked. Now, what you saw when I was searching was actually a podcast which had an entirety of one episode that showed up in my sample data, and I just had to look it up because it was a person's name and whether they were an alcoholic in Swedish. So I was just like, what's this? So that's why there was some alcoholism in my search history. It just felt worth commenting on because it was kind of odd. Hey, Fredrik. Oh, RM has written something, but I don't know what. Sorry about that. Or maybe I'm not sorry. Maybe it was terrible. So yeah, I've downloaded their database. I've put a copy of it on this URL, and you can use that URL to pull it and use it and experiment with it. Now I've exported SQLite 3 VFS HTTP URL because that's how this tool wants things done. Now we should be able to just go SQLite 3 and load the extension, which is in SQLite 3 VFS HTTP / SQLite 3 HTTP Jesus .ext / HTTP VFS. No, I missed. / No? SQLite 3 VFS HTTP / There we go. And then we need to open a database file. So we can do, as in the demo, foo.db VFS equal HTTP VFS. So the foo.db thing should be completely unused as far as I understand. Now we've opened a database. That means I should be able to call that schema to get the current schema. And yes, this is the schema of the podcasts thing. So since this is very big, I will not be just fetching all let's do 100 with a limit, and we can do just the title because it's unreadable otherwise. Whee! So, wheat all about it. Trekker talk. Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky real estate. Podcasts are so exciting. Blood-sucking feminist. That's either a great podcast or a terrible one. When I searched the tech category on here, it was just all crypto scams, which was interesting. You get a decent bunch of, like, I skimmed this data set a little bit before. You get a decent bit of church audio. Hey, I'm guessing Jerry. Guessing at the pronunciation there because that's a lot of diacritics. But happy to have someone from the Czech Republic here. Punk band name, Bloodsucking Feminist. I think it's a bit on the nose, but I'd go with Weed All About It. Podcast, Teenager Lesbian Podcast. It's you and Falstaff. Texas Coffee. Some sermons. Benny asking people questions. Low battery, and then I think that's Katakana. Yeah. An absolutely dope podcast. Apple coding. So yeah, you get a little bit of everything here. Oh, that's the one. This is why I looked up the Alcoholic podcast. It stuck out to me for being in Swedish, and it was in the early results. Oh dear. Old colleague showing up in the chat. Hey, Joel. Or Joel, as we say in Sweden. All right, so we can query this. It's not going to be super fast if we do weird stuff, because it's going to need to read a lot of data. Actually, we can try something kind of aggressive. I think it will take a long time to get results, unfortunately. Category, I think we have a category 1. Podcasts. Group by category 1. Order by CFS. So this will probably be awful. I bet this will take a ton of time. This works best when you don't need to query the entire database, because the entire database is 4 gigs, which means you'll be downloading all of the 4 gigs. So why am I doing that? Stop it. So if we sample, we don't order by anything, because the ordering, now, listen here. If you sort things, you need to know the whole set, which is terrible. We don't want to do that. But if we do this, we just need to read the first 1000. No, the group by will get me. So I haven't actually done a lot of like sub-querying with the SQLite. So, but I should be able to query the first 1000 like this with no issue. I mean, it might be slow, but it is slow. It's being very slow. I seem to recall count as asterisk maybe being a little bit slow in SQLite. SQLite order count asterisk. Count slow on big tables. I remember I've toyed with this data set before, and I remember running into something I didn't know about. If you haven't deleted any records, row idea. It's fun. The group buy will get me. I have a podcaster in the crowd. Dangerous. No? Okay. Well, let's just do this. And we should be able to do a subquery on that, I reckon. I'm just guessing here about the possibility of doing subqueries. No. Oh, category 1. Perhaps. Yeah, so religion dominates. Now this is for category 1, so things can have multiple categories. Hey Carl, nice to see you. Oh, less ceiling in the shot, thank you. Yeah, so this is something I'm doing particularly because of the type of VFS we're using. So I just get the first 1,000 entries or so, or maybe, let's see how much time it takes to do 10,000. 10,000 entries, not a ton, but nothing. Can you ask SQLite to output timings? The timer on. Okay. It's not the fastest. Say that. I hope it's fetching them from kind of the start. Oh, also this database does not have indexes, which is probably for the best, but yeah, it has an impact. Okay, that was too slow for me. Let's put the timer on, see how we do with 100. Okay. Did it say second? The Stack Overflow thing seems to think it's second, but it's like Unix timing thingies, user sys, and all that. Real user and sys times. Takes a good while. I wonder if it's trying to do this with the full data set for some reason. Please don't be. No. Yeah, 36.7. And SQLite select original order. Yeah, it does seem longer than before. I'm curious about that. But if I remove all my fancy stuff and see if that makes it faster. Yeah, a bit. So if I change the amount. Oh. Now it seems like it's streaming the output to me. Or it's just struggling to keep printing. should have done a count. Count on a limit is also often not that interesting though. So that took a long time. And then the second call takes no time. So I think it caches locally. So if we do offset 50,000 limit 100. Oh. Should it be there? With a little bit of luck, it should know how to search for this offset in the data, or we're in trouble, but we'll find out. That's funny, Daniel. Now I'm curious. So they said that if there's an ID integer primary key, then we can use that instead of the row ID I was looking for. So we can actually, well, the primary key order will be the order of the table, which is nice. But okay. Regardless of the exact performance of any given query, we can certainly query these. I'm a little bit surprised this was slow. And actually one thing I'm curious about is there like a foo.db now? No. Didn't actually create one. So if I select ID limit offset 500, I wonder if it just fetches specific chunks and only caches specific chunks, because this should be in the set that we fetched, so it should be fast. But it depends on how it does kind of caching. And then bam. So that was fairly fast. Yeah, but this is a database that we can all share and query. Is anyone else querying it? I'd be curious. Like, I can't tell. It's not like you can write to it. So this is a read-only VFS. I'm curious what it does if I try to insert. Attempting to write to a read-only database. That's a fair error to give me at that point. But see, I was trying to use this in Elixir because of course I was. So if we do a new Elixir project, so podstream database equals SQLite 3. Sure, all the dependencies, just give me all the tailwinds. Sorry about being a little bit sniffly. I'm trying to get rid of it, but it won't go. Oh, while we're compiling, I can brag a little bit about something my sponsor did. Actually, I'm wearing the shirt. No, there's been a feature that they mentioned that they were gonna do, and I was like, ooh, I like this. So they have this thing. Okay, it has finished compiling, but now I'm gonna talk about it anyway. Damn you, fast computer. So there's some documentation somewhere around here, which is about the caching. Figured I would show that. Where is it hiding? Oh well, it's in here somewhere. Ooh, here it is. So they have this caching mechanism where if you want, you can put, when you send a file, you can use eager caching, which means that your file or your upload will be automatically distributed geographically during the upload. And this is cool and nice and should be quite useful, but something they've added just recently. I can't bring up the documentation because it doesn't exist yet, but when you are listing some set of objects, you can now pass a header to preheat the cache, which essentially tells the system, oh, all of these keys that you listed objects for, I'm gonna fetch them next. So send them to the closest endpoint to where I am. Meaning you make a query for, or you make a listing for objects in the object store, and then they start moving towards you. I really want to visualize this as kind of a herd behavior. So some of these could be at home in Stockholm, and some in the US, and some in Japan, and you're in Australia, and you go, hey, I want all of the ones under this organization or under this folder prefix thing. And I want them here. And suddenly they just move globally towards you. That's interesting to me. And I think it will be useful, especially along with some other features that are still to be announced. All right, Podstream. Also, if you have questions about Tigris, do ask. I don't know everything, but I'm happy to try and answer, and I can certainly bring it up with them later. So, also, supposedly custom domains are available now, so one could put a website on there, which I'm very keen to try, but I haven't looked into exactly how it works yet. We can do this, and we can look at the SQLite. So this is the library that underpins the SQLite support. So Mr. Warm Waffles, Matthew Johnston, is an absolute beast and an angel. Connor Rigby deserves credit. More people deserve credit. But yeah, I love that we have a good SQLite. So the cool thing about SQLite, it's a single file database. Sometimes it's even put on S3 for some reason, or an object store. Now, this is the repo, so this is a full-on ecto thing. Because I just want to make sure that this works, which it doesn't last time I tried, we're gonna turn off all the ecto stuff. And I just want to start with something very simple in this circumstance, which is, actually I will just steal the code that I created while I was experimenting with this beforehand, because I don't want to look it up. I thought I had a project called Podstream. Did I call it something else? Hold on, I'll find it. don't know what I did. I don't think I removed it. Interesting. Maybe I created it inside of the SQLite VFS thing. I'm confused. Anyway, we'll steal the code from Matthew instead then. So there are some examples of how to just make SQLite statements. Questions, always welcome. So this is something I often do when I just need to figure out how something works. I make a module, I make a function, then I'm gonna call that function a whole lot in IEX. Sometimes I make a test instead, but that's not always what I want. So we can just confirm that this all works. So then we should be able to do podstream db go. Okay. And we should be able to do myfile.db probably. And then there's a myfile.db created. Excuse me, just need cough. And we should be back towards volume. Cool. So I don't care about creating tables, but I might want the execute for another thing. We want one of these statements, but we don't want this one. We want something very similar to this. Select ID title category 1 from podcasts, limit 100. Limit 10. Row. IO inspect. Row. So if we manage to get it, that's what we will get. And now we do this and there's no such table, but it managed to open it and everything. So you can absolutely load extensions. Oh, SQLite basic. Missed this. I assume this is the same type of con. So I should be able enable load extension. Let's try this pop. I didn't try it this way. And then this wants the path, which is ... slash bunch of things. If you start hearing crying children, it's just my children. Don't worry about it. They are sometimes unhappy. Occasionally. Let's see. Oh, this is interesting. My mouse is kind of crapping itself. This actually means that my trackball is acting up. And I will need to fix it or I will go insane. So you pop this ball out and suddenly you're back in the 90s cleaning a ball mouse. So in this cavity, sometimes there's buildup. Now we're cleaning a mouse. Trackpad, trackball. We get all the excitement on this stream. How is everyone's weekend? Or coming up on the weekend, I guess. Good plans? Or working hard or something less pleasant? I'm impressed if my microphone is not picking up the amount of children shrieking outside. If it escalates, I'll take a short break and just check on them. But most likely they are just unhappy with something that my wife did or did not do for them. We want this thing, because that's how it knows where to find the... You get weather in where you are, Herman? We're not doing weather yet. Or yeah, we're doing terrible weather consistently. So the load extension, if I recall this, should also include HTTP VFS. What is it complaining about? Oh, basic. There's a cute emoji, but I can't tell what it is fully. Let's see. Yeah, over here. So, and then the idea would be, actually this open is run before the load extension. That won't do. Huh. I want to load the extension up front. Actually, this is something so I tried the mechanism for loading extensions in SQLite with config and stuff, and it did not work. There is some stuff for this, like this, load extensions. So I can tell it to load extensions, but I don't know that they are loaded before the database is opened. I hope so. But I'm not sure it matters if you're not dealing with VFS stuff. So I suspect it's not doing the right thing. I talked briefly to Matthew. It's Matthew, right? Yes. Warm Waffles. I spoke briefly to the Warm Waffles, and he said he'd never run into a VFS. So, fair. But this makes me think that we can do the wild thing and just force it to build. And then we hack our dependency. And this is not the recommended way to edit a dependency. Like, you should clone it and use it as a path dependency. Tell me if you want to see that. I can absolutely do that, but we can also just hack aggressively and poorly. So I know there's a call to open v2 here. And I could actually pass in the VFS here. Last time I tried it, that didn't seem like it worked. And the idea would be that where's the stuff I wrote? There. All right, I still need this path, otherwise I'm lost. So we're gonna need to load that. Then we can tell it to open with that VFS. if we check where this load extensions thing is used in the SQLite library, connection, only connection, okay. It is called after opening. That will not do. So if that's insufficient for us, let's see, what does it do? It wants a database to load the extensions on. And I tend to want to load the extension before I load the database, because the data extension is required to load the database. Fair enough, that's a problem. And it runs this, which is probably the same thing we want to do. But we have this whole thing. So here is where it opens. And the question to me then is, can I execute without a connection? No. And the SQLite 3 module, I'm guessing that just talks to the NIF directly. Here it doesn't open. So if we go back in the NIF, this is the C code, this is the SQLite open. Now we're looking at C, because that's what we're doing today. Because when you want to do SQLite and object storage, of course you need C code. Not necessarily. This could all be avoided if we had more luck. But I also think it's kind of interesting. So I figured now you know how to use a VFS, and you can do it in another language easily, or you can use the SQLite CLI, but you can also get wild and start doing this. So open v2. Because when you start SQLite, you can start it without a file, and then you can load some extensions. I wonder how that's actually done, because SQLite 3 load extension, they have some documentation, runtime loadable extensions. Yeah, so you can supply to load extension API. Actually, do we call load extension any? No. But if I want to load an extension before opening a file. Yeah, it must be enabled. Oh, SQLite extension before open. Actually, maybe we want compile time extensions. Maybe that's what we want. I don't know. Getting started, yada yada. Extensions. Yeah, but that's the one that requires that. Load VFS. This is the SQLite OS interface. It's their abstraction on top of the file system, which is what lets us inject something between. It's quite cool, but so oh, so this is VFS find. SQLite VFS register. Sorry about the sniffles. Oh, right, it was right there. Make the flute. Oh. Well, I'm gonna assume that the SQLite VFS. Oh, it's a pointer to SQLite VFS object. So if I want to make one of these, so I want to read this. Oh, you're saying find will use find interface returns a pointer to a VFS given its name. But I would expect that I need to register it. Given its name. So do I need to load it before? It's like, how do I don't think the name is the full path to it. Yes, I'm getting a little bit of a chicken and egg problem. So because we have this, and then we do this. I know we can actually pass the VFS here if we want. That's allowed. That's the name of the VFS. But I wonder, do we need to like compile time link this extension if we really want it to work? That seems a little bit much, but I'm more interested in getting it working than getting the perfect way of having it work. So we can take a brief look at the makefile. I'm no good with makefiles, but let's just take a little look, see what we can do to it. Doesn't match blobs. Well, it doesn't enable us to load extensions, so that's good. We know that we'll load extensions after the open command, which I think is not ideal. SQLite load VFS. I'm guessing they haven't written any of the C code in here. No. This does something very similar. So it's load and then open. But I don't think SQLite distinguishes from those steps. And I don't know how SQLite would want us to do this otherwise. Hold on. So EXQLite, oh, hold on, connection. Because it does an open there, then it does the load extensions. Maybe that's fine. I'm not 100% sure I did this right the first time, so let's just try. I'm skeptical, but I'm willing to be very wrong about it. So then it would be something like, we should probably resolve this. Expand. This is something I didn't know about for a while. No? What? That's not the full path. Silliness. This is the thing I wanted to copy. What are you doing? So this is a full path. I just don't want like the relative pathiness of the compilation step to screw me over or something. So that should load the extension, and then we should make sure that this foo.db question mark VFS equals HTTP VFS. Database open failed. Which I personally find kind of vague. But it comes from database open failed. So it's here. It's something failing inside of SQLite.c. It's like open database is not happy. Actually, I would love to know what the actual RC is here. Return code. Are you okay? Are you okay, SQLite? So here is SQLite OK and a bunch of other stuff. I don't know if I can just printf the result. Try. Yeah, printf. Sure. Wait, next steps compile. -- force SQLite. So now it should be bringing in our changes into the mess. I mean mix. Compiling, compiling, compiling. Bloop. It did not print. Is there a nice way I can log to Erlang? So Erlnif, that's the library that provides all this stuff for Erlang nifs. Don't ask me how I know. I just ended up here at some point. I don't write C code typically. I just poke C code when I get frisky. Ooh, this seems like fun. fprintf. enif fprintf. At the bottom where, Herman? No, I'm curious what you're mentioning. Oh, it's really angry about something. If you posted a link, I'm not sure I got it, Herman. It might be a YouTube thing that they eat up the links. What claims it built? No output. Lame. Yes. Oh, hold on. Why did I put it there? Put it in the entirely wrong place just because it had an RC. I had no idea if that actually worked. Yeah, but if you sent me a link, I don't think I saw it, unfortunately. Is that not how you print integers in C? As I mentioned, I don't do C, I just poke it sometimes. Printf integer. Unsigned decimal integer, I guess. Would a U make you more happy? Probably. and that also probably works. Segfault core dump, boom, perfect. So this is supposed to return an int. Let's see if it prefers. No, it didn't a lot like this. Did I read the docs for it sloppily? Const character format. Oh, file stream. I think it writes to file and stuff. I can't be bothered with that. Is there no print that just ships some data off to the group leader? No. Yeah, too much work. Will not do. I'm ducking down to see beside the camera, so I'm looking behind you. Don't worry about it. It is recommended that SQLite dbconfig enable load extension method be used. So now we're trying this with load extension, and I get the sense that this doesn't work because SQLite can't find the VFS. If I remove that, I should probably put this database somewhere else. /. Actually, I should also probably recompile the SQLite so it doesn't blow up. So now my hypothesis is that it will possibly still load the extension, but not actually necessarily use it. Yeah, so now I'm getting no such table podcast because there is no such table in this particular database. Now, if we work around that part, so here, I should be able to go HTTP VFS. That's the one I want. And then we recompile SQLite. Compiling. Oh. The music has died. Let's start from the beginning. Just let me know if it's overruling my voice, which I guess is non-desirable. So now we're getting database open fail. So it is trying to get that VFS and it just can't. So if we look at what we're doing here, this the connection one, it does the open, then it does all of this stuff. And then So it does load extensions last. Sure, fair, I guess. Can I do something wicked and tell it to do a reopen with VFS? Just like that, just brutal. I think I wanted in the SQLite 3 one, just like this, or just being brutal. I wonder how the SQLite NIF let's see, the SQLite NIF on the Elixir side. How does that do that? Herman, I think that's a decent theory, but if we look at the extension, it just does a load, which I think is how you just load any extension. I don't think it's treated entirely separately. Load VFS SQLite. No, sorry, Herman. I cannot see the link. I don't think YouTube sends links to the chat. It just swallows them because scams, mostly scam and spam. So I didn't get the link. And currently I'm not available on any of my usual DMs because it's hard to lock down. I don't see any links, not even split up. Are you trying to hack? Are you hacking, Herman? It seems like a smart move, but no, I'm not seeing it. That's unfortunate. Let's see, what's a good side channel? If you're on Mastodon, maybe you can get it to me that way. But you got to see like OS interface or VFS. Well, he did try to split it up, and it still ate it. Let's see. Getting there. I'm very excited now. So it's source / doc / trunk / source. This is like a treasure hunt. Test one file. Let's see. Ooh, you went to the source. You mad lad. So let's see, what is this about? This file contains some example demonstrations how SQLite VFS feature can be used to have a SQLite operate directly on an embedded media without using intermediate file system. At the bottom. So this procedure registers the file system VFS with SQLite. If the argument is true, the VFS becomes the new default. So it does a find on nothing just to get a blank VFS. It's at the base MX path name. I'm curious about this FS file. And then it runs register. Okay. Oh no, it has an FS VFS already. It does something about the parent. So FS VFS generates a static one. Okay. So this is how a VFS is created. Oh, so our thing should be doing this. Whenever we load it. I think this still means I could make this work. So by just like we're opening it and then we're opening a local file and then we reopen and open the specific VFS. This is an absolute hack, but it's an absolute hack I think you can make work. The link is useful, Herman, but I'm not entirely sure I'm following what you intended. So the Go library already implements an extension like this. That's why I can load it in SQLite, in the SQLite CLI and use it. So let's do reopen with VFS. I do keep going if like you have more ideas about what I could do with that, because I haven't solved this yet. So we implement one of those, and then in the SQLite NIF. No, not the pragma. Not the pragma. That would be silly. So here we have the SQLite open. I don't think we have a separate open, no. reopen with the VFS. So we get all this. Well, these are kind of generic, I think. We make a con. Sure, let's assert the end. I love asserting the end. It's probably good for something. We want an RC. So this is get resource. So this is how we get the connection set up. Like, oh, so clear, so obvious, so very C. So it's done all this stuff to this connection. Can I open it? Open a VFS? Can I add a VFS to this connection? I guess is the question, because reopening it will probably blow away everything that has been loaded. I fear, I suspect. The XOpen method of SQLite constructs a SQLite 3 file object when the file is opened. So the default. Yeah, but how do I get them in there? I don't understand how they intend loading extensions before opening the file, because it doesn't seem like the API really wants you to do that. But it feels like that's what we're doing when we're... Huh. Let's look at SQLite Open V2. URI file names. Could they load the extension and then open the other? Yeah, I think that might be the case. Yeah, I guess the VFS would be loaded into memory at that point. Let's nuke this for now. Yeah, I think you're on the right track there, Herman. And that would mean that I could call essentially this with null, so then we don't try to open it. I don't really care how it went. So memory. Okay, so we can use a name, but I'll pass in a memory flag, and the memory flag is this. See if I can get away with just doing this. Fake memory. Oh, hold on. No, I want the same DB pointer. Oh, redo. You're so broken in this mess. So I should be able to do that, and then load extension into. We don't actually load any extensions that way in this one, so we'll have to find the load extension. Yeah, I think that's the. I think we're on the right path for this. So here, we'll do it MDB. Here, we would do this whole thing. Beautiful. This is how you write source code. Put your home directory right in it. Yes, please derive that from zvile. Sorry, I still have the sniffles and it shows. Here, if not 0. So I want a character pointer. Well, I guess I can. Is RC one of those? I'll try. Might blow up. Who knows? No. Let's see. So I want a character pointer that's called yeah. I think by doing that, I am doing it right. So my C is limited. C has the best errors. Passing argument from incompatible pointer. Okay, it doesn't want me to dereference it. That's fine. I don't mind. Compiling. I need like a hotkey to trigger something fun while I'm compiling. Sorry about the silence, but I think you all preferred that I blow my nose and quiet. Let's see what happens. Database open failed. But now it is doing... Actually, which database open failed? This one, because we don't really check the status of this one. Database open, well, temp db failed. If we do rc equals, the test loop is slower with this. I don't know what to tell you. People are starting to drop off. I think it's becoming official Friday, so it's about time to wrap. But I knew we would get the basic querying working, and I'm glad that we did do that. And then there's getting this working, which I thought was a reasonable thing to experiment with. Okay, so it's failing to open this. Kind of interesting. Why? Why? Like I'm being brutal about the flags. It probably wants additional information. For example, read only, read write. I don't know. So I'm open to just doing this without this as a final attempt. So it will, whatever file we specify, it will first open that, and then it will not open that. I don't need the URI if I'm passing this, because that does the same thing as passing the URI. So I can show you. SQLite open v2, so it name of the VFS module to use. It's the same thing, but much more explicit. So I'm pretty sure it's actually doing the thing. Not certain that this worked, that this loaded. There could be all sorts of shenanigans going on. Suspicious. All right, but I think we have to wrap it around now, so people don't fall asleep watching me flail at NIFs. But I do think that with more competent people in the C realm stepping in, I think there's a decent chance that Matthew of SQLite fame will take a look at this, and if he does, I'm sure he'll fix it, because that's what he does. And if someone actually proper fixes it, we can absolutely use SQLite over object storage from Elixir. There may also be some other variants we could do. Actually, I can show what just a hypothetical ADBC extension SQLite. So with Apache Arrow, you can do ADBC, which is their way of pulling data from, for example, SQLite. And it also supports the runtime loadable extensions. I don't know whether whether they will do that before or after. Probably after. Well, they might have the same problem. I don't know. But it's one thing we could try, because there is an Elixir ADBC. This one. It plays nicely with Explorer and is generally interesting. The reason it's interesting is because it does Apache Arrow and will give you columnar data from whatever you're reading from. But a later thing. I would much prefer to have SQLite do it, and I think if I read Matthew's messages right, it kind of irked him that he hadn't run into VFSs and that they didn't work. So I'm hopeful that he or someone else will look at contributing that, because I want to use it. I actually have a decently sized application experimental project we could do on these streams that would be sourcing data from the SQLite file. And it's nice to not have to pull the entire thing. Even though 4 gigs is not that much these days, it's still just more efficient if you don't have to. All right, that's it for this time. If you need object storage, don't forget to support my sponsor if they see action in concert with my activities here. I'm sure that that sends the right signal and that we want to do more streams and all of that. Also, I think that it seems like a really good product, so I'm happy with that. I hope you all have a lovely weekend, and only do tech if you really want to. And have a good one. Stay curious out there. Bye.